Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at my favourite RC car, and it is an HPI Trophy Truggy. Now a bit of history about the car before we crack on with the video. This was originally an HPI Trophy Truggy with a nitro engine, and the previous owner took the nitro engine out and put a 4S capable brushless system in the car. And I bought this earlier this year for a measly £80. And all it needed was a transmitter and receiver, and I put a 3S LiPo in it and it ran great. I put 4S in it and it ran great, and since then I've basically run it on 3S and I've jumped it, and it's been really tough. But when I got the car, there were a few issues straight out the box, and since then a few issues have occurred. So first things first, as I'm sure you can tell, this has not got the original body shell. And not only is this not the original body shell, it is an absolutely appalling condition. It's been held together with duct tape and hopes and dreams. Let's throw that one away. Don't want that. Now, the second issue this came with was this bumper. I don't know if you can see in this light. It is broken, so I've got a fresh one of those to go on. Now, the other issue this came with, the servo it came with, is absolutely hopeless, so that's getting changed out today. And then, since running the truck, my son managed to break the rear shock absorber on this side, and broke it so well it snapped off and we lost it in the field. But thankfully I've got some spares. So the most recent incident I've had with this truck is I jumped it a couple of weeks ago and the rear centre drive shaft popped out, and I wondered why that could be. So I started taking off the motor mounts, and believe it or not, it's actually held in with wood screws. So so try putting some nice M2.5 bolts in there, and it didn't take at all. So I've actually ordered a new shiny new motor mount for it to go in, and I'm also going to get rid of the nasty FlySky GT2 transmitter and receiver combo and replace it with a lovely receiver mated to my FlySky GT5 controller. So at the end of today, this is going to be one really slick truck. So we have a nice assortment of parts to go on today. Some parts I've ordered new, so that's the new motor mount. That's a new 17-tooth pinion, which is 3 teeth bigger than what's on it at the moment. Some nice large-scale body clips. Then I had some parts lying around for another project I'm going to use today. So this 25 kilo eBay special servo. I love these things. I've got these in a few RCs. So that's going in the HPI today. Then the receiver for the FlySky GT5 transmitter, that's going in today. But then some of the parts I got from a spares car, which I bought for a measly 30 quid. So for a starter, a front bumper, which is cleaned up real nice. Then we've got a rear shock absorber there. I was just going to take the rear shock absorber off, and I noticed we have a carbon fibre shock tower here. Now, that's got to be a few quid's worth on its own, and it came off the spares car. So I've just taken both rear shocks off with the shock tower, and with the rear wing mount as well. And the front shock tower is also matching shiny, lovely carbon fibre, so that's going on too. Now, along with those parts on the spares car, we also got, look at that body shell. Now, this is not pristine or as new, but it is in really good condition, and it looks real nice in those bright green and yellow colours. So that is going to look beautiful, and to go with that we have matching yellow rear wing. Oh, this thing's going to look awesome! So that's that rear end pulled off now, and as you can see, it looks a bit dirty, and that shock tower definitely looks bent in several ways. Obviously, you only got the one shock absorber on there, so this nice unit off the spares car with a nice carbon fibre shock tower, that's going to look lovely. So let's get that put back on. Right guys, that's the first bit done. So we've got two working shock absorbers on the back there. We've got the new rear wing, got the carbon fibre shock tower. It's starting to come along. So even though that piece there was sped up, that took me actually about 25 minutes to do, believe it or not. So I'm going to crack on with the next bit after I've had a bit of a beer. Now mostly I'm really impressed with this truck, and you know what, it seems to be built tough. All the Allen head bolts are 2.5 and 3mm. Everything's thick aluminium. Even the original shock towers, they're thick aluminium. And this chassis brace down here, it's thick and it's aluminium. And it seems really well put together, but one thing I don't like is that some of the bolts are actually Phillips head, which I can't quite get my head around, but there you go. Anyway, let's get onto the front shock tower, and then we're going to get onto the servo, and then the motor mount, and then fit the new body shell. So that's the lovely carbon fibre shock tower installed. That's the new bumper off the spares car installed. Now I just can't decide whether to keep these shocks off the original car or put the matching purple shocks from the spares car. Oh, of course we went for the purple springs. So now I've removed this horrible cheapo 20 kilo eBay special servo. We're going to replace it with this lovely 25 kilo eBay special servo. So that's the motor mount switched over, that's the servo switched over. Put the new receiver in. What we're going to do now is put a battery in, link up the, the controller to the receiver. We're going to center the servo, put the servo arm on, get the steering sorted, and then put on the new body shell and she'll be done. Pop our transmitter on, and we're gonna okay. didn't sound very good, did it? So we're on to trim, on steering, that's centred.
Tom, 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 lele, lulu, mayang, 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 tom, 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 lele, lulu, mayang.
Definitely dial down that dual rate. Let's try that. And turn the steering around. Right, so quick update on the HPI now, guys. So I started up before, I got the steering set up and I got the motor set up because it went in the correct way, and then noticed the front wheels weren't moving at all under load. So I've ended up swapping out the whole gearbox and front diff off the spares car, which happens to come with a couple of upgrades actually. A nice little CV front centre drive shaft there, and a nice big thick bulkhead at the front as well, so that worked out quite nicely. Now then, I've got those two front wheels working nicely, the rear left wheel working, but the rear right just doesn't want to know. Right, back to the drawing board. So, it's finally finished, and I've literally changed everything on this bloody thing. This is all the parts I've removed from the original car, and some of the parts from the spares car, all in one bloody box. This whole build has taken me about 9 hours. It's actually on the chassis from the spares car, it's got the gearboxes on the front from the spares car, the rear diff from the spares car, it's got the carbon fibre shock towers from the spares car. I've replaced so many parts in this bloody thing, I swear to God. And then in the end I couldn't remove the battery tray from the original truck, and I think it was some kind of universal battery tray anyway. This is actually a battery tray from my old Team Coralie Kronos, which is stripped for parts recently. Unfortunately, still had this sat around, so that's kind of held in with a bolt and a zip tie and hopes and dreams. So we'll see how that holds up today. Anyway, let's see if all four wheels are turning. They bloody better have be, or it's getting yeeted out the bloody window. Right, does it work? It seems to. Yeah, it works. This thing looks bloody epic. Right, if you want to see this thing in action, guys, make sure you subscribe. This will be in the very next video in just a few days. And once again, if it does break on the first run, I'm going to yeet it into the Mersey. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time.